The most important story of the week by far this week was Milei and the elf. Milei's tumultuous relationship with the elf has yet to be reported in the English language, although it has been covered extensively in Spanish, because no one cares about Argentina, which is fair. However, this is going to sound like a joke, but I assure you that it's not, okay? And I'm going to prove that it's not a joke. So here's the scoop. In Argentina, there is a man known as the elf, and you're like, okay, why is he known as the elf? That's a good question. That's an extremely good question. No one should ever be known as the elf, but he is unironically known as the elf. Why? Because he paid like hundreds of thousands of dollars to get plastic surgery to make himself look like an elf. He basically did the Ollie London, I want to be Korean thing, except for like a Lord of the Rings elf. But he's worked out. I'll show you a picture of him rather than tease you. No, wait, I'm going to tease you to make sure you keep watching, because I know right now you're like, I need to see the elf. I need to see what the elf looks like, and I'm going to make you wait so that you keep watching. So, the elf is the new boyfriend of Lilia. How the fuck do you even say her last name? Lilia Limon. I don't know. Limone. I don't know. Who cares? Milei had a years-long relationship with a very stupid woman who thinks that the earth is flat, like before he was the president. And then once Milei got like a little bit of fame, he dumped her to start dating like random female celebrities from the 80s, because that was a thing that he could do now. And I guess he thinks it gives him more prestige. But like, she has still stayed by his side. She's like a member of his party. She's an actual congresswoman, I guess you would call them in English. A current congresswoman of his party, nonetheless, even though he's cucked her 100 times over by now with random like celebrities who were famous in the 80s. And she nonetheless apparently still has compromising material on Javier Milei, like videos and stuff of him having like psychotic episodes from when they were together. And she's been having a bit of a fallout lately with Milei and his supporters. So her current boyfriend is the elf guy, okay? See, she sent these videos and images of Milei having his episodes to the elf, so that if anything ever happened to her, the elf could release them and make sure that they see the light of day. And she and the elf have been threatening Javier Milei with releasing these compromising videos about him. I know this sounds like a joke, but just to prove it's not a joke, I'm going to search right here for El Elfo Milei. That's the elf and Milei in Spanish, okay? And you're going to see a fucking barrage of articles from mainstream Argentine news outlets, all like titled, "Who is the elf? What is the relationship between the elf and Javier Milei?" It's pages upon pages. Pages upon pages of the elf. And this is the elf on the left with Milei's scorned ex. I gotta say, the plastic surgeon did an excellent job. He really does look like an elf. He really does. Like, Ollie London cannot fucking touch this guy. It's like as if they really turned Ollie London into a Korean. It's that good. He really does look like an elf. You have to remember too, this is like a fucking frontal phone selfie as well, this picture. Well, maybe like a filter on his face and that's it. It's not like photoshopped or anything. It's just like a normal selfie. And he looks like a fucking elf. I gotta hand it to the elf. He really is an elf. He's earned his nickname. He is the personification of an elf. That's it. His name is the elf from Formosa. El Elfo Formoseño. So the elf has videos and chats. He has videos of Milei's scorned ex-lover, which she sent him, which could be very compromising for Javier Milei. By the way, I just want to note that Javier Milei named her as like the party's congressional head of like scientific affairs when she's a flat earther. And she has no work experience, she has no title, like no university studies, she's not, basically nothing. Like every single person in Milei's party is someone who is a complete fucking loser who before joining his party watched anime and played video games all day. They are all like complete fucking losers who rally against people who work in the state, calling them like slurs and stuff for apparently leeching off taxpayers. And the first job they ever had is they're like 40 years old and Milei gives them a job because they were his friend before he became the president. It's literally that. Milei's government is a jobs program for the biggest losers in the entire world. It's a jobs program for incels, NEETs, like professional social media losers, nothing else. But either way, Javier Milei, his government could potentially be in trouble if the elf comes out with what he has. Who is this title? Who is the elf who makes Milei tremble and could destroy his party. Who is the elf who could bring down the government? This is a situation that Argentina is in. This is what Milei has done in 6 fucking months. He has made a country that is such a fucking joke that a guy who is known for nothing more than getting plastic surgery to look like an elf is in a position where he could reasonably, if he decided to pull the trigger, cause his government irreparable damage. I don't even know what to say about this. Like, this is more funny and stupid than like Donald Trump booking like the 4 seasons, what was like instead of booking the 4 seasons, he booked like a landscaping business to hold a speech at. It's the same fucking, it's on that level of insanity and stupidity. And because his government, Milei's entire government, is a jobs program for losers who live with their parents when they're 40 years old. And not because like, you know, they try their best not to. No, because they've been doing nothing but playing video games and fucking watching anime for the last 20 years of their life. Milei's government is like professional cosplayer, ex-janitor in a public hospital who calls people who work in the public sector losers, guys who have never done anything but tweet. And while tweeting, like, these are people who say to others, like, oh, you fucking losers, you guys have done nothing ever but work in like the public sector or whatever. And they've never done anything but tweet. And their first ever job is Milei giving them a job in the government. 19-year-old kids who are paid in chocolate cake to tweet positively about the government. This is Milei's government. This is who they are. It is such a fucking joke. I have to make a video about it eventually. Like, just going over this in English, because no one talks about it. It's insane. It is literally a government of children, a government of fail sons who have never worked a day in their life and who are now being paid a salary. And like 2 or 3 people in Milei's government who actually have some sort of work history are like his minister of security, who is like just the minister of security of the previous right-wing government. He's minister of economy, who's just the minister of economy of the previous right-wing government. So it's like he has a blend of like generic mainstream neoliberals, like 2 or 3 of them, and then the rest of the government is like guy who he met on Twitter #1. Guy who he met on Twitter #2. Guy who he met at like the Libertarian Convention #3. None of whom have ever had a serious job. Milei included, by the way. Milei calls himself a doctor. Like, he uses the doctor title. He doesn't even have a master's, let alone a doctorate. He never actually finished his master's. Not to mention his fucking bachelor's degrees from a private university that's known for just letting anyone pass. And he tries to sell himself as like a serious academic. Now his government, on top of all of this, is at risk of being brought down by a guy who paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in plastic surgery to become a human elf. Or, sorry, not a human elf. That's racist against him. To become an elf. He is an elf. He deserves the title. I gotta hand it to him. He looks like it. And he's the president of a country. Argentina is a complete and total fucking joke. It is actually like as if a combination of like r/libertarian, like the subreddit, and r/anarcho-capitalism from 10 years ago somehow became like the government of a country. It's such a fucking joke. And everyone in Argentina should be embarrassed about this. And it's being treated seriously in other countries as well, when this is worse than Trump. It's significantly worse than Trump. At least Trump was basically just a cover for like generic establishment Republicans. It was a government made up of generic like right-wing Republicans, you know? Milei's government is like, instead of that, it is like 2 or 3 of our equivalent of generic Republicans. And then, like, imagine if you get, like, 40 Charlie Kirks, except somehow even less accomplished and known than Charlie Kirks to make up the rest of the government. That is what it's like. And not even really, because Charlie Kirk is, like, a product of, like, the think tank industrial complex. The losers in Milei's government, they've never even had a job in, like, a right-wing think tank. Think about it. Before he employed them, their life was sitting at home all day, tweeting, jacking off, looking at anime, and playing video games. And now they have like a $4,000 a month salary being paid from the taxpayer dime, where they still basically just tweet all day, but now officially. And they're the same people who accuse others of being like losers who can only get a job in the government when the only job they've ever had, they're like 38 years old, and their first ever job is being an employee of Milei in the government, paid with taxpayer dollars. It's fucking crazy. And I gotta say, Elf, Mr. Elf, the Formosan elf, or the Formosan elf, I guess it would be in English. The Formosan elf, if you're watching this, could you please release the videos and the images and everything else you have and bring down the government? You'll be the first ever human elf, the first ever real-life elf You're not human. I'm sorry about that, my friend. To do a successful coup against the government. We need you. We need you to save us, Elf. Thank you. What a serious country. Very serious country. The human elf could bring down the government. It's the equivalent of fucking Oliver London having compromising information that could bring down Trump or whatever. Like, what a great country. Argentina #1. It sounds unbelievable, but I promise you that it's fucking real. Like, I wouldn't even think of anything like this, even if I tried my hardest. We have to spread the news of the elf. This is by far the most important news of the week.